Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, Facebook, YouTube, and you can check us out on Spotify. Welcome back. Christmas is over.
Yes, Christmas is over.
Except
Everybody had a Merry Christmas.
Except I have a present here.
Yes,
We
yes.
weren't doing adult presents, and today is our producer Amy's 21st birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Amy.
So happy birthday, Amy. A big shout out to her. We're so happy you turned 21. We're going to take you for a drink.
Yes, we are going to take you for a drink.
Put that in your
two.
calendar somewhere. Yeah, or two. In dry January, we're going to take you for a drink.
Yes.
So I was given a present, even though we said no presents. So I'm going to open it on the air really quick.
Yes.
Because Christmas is over.
Christmas is over, and actually walking in this morning, the streets are all empty, and there's nobody's parked on the road, and I was like, ooh, it's like a ghost town, and I was like, actually, no, it's kind of made me smile because we're a Christmas hangover.
Yay, I got a JBL speaker that I can carry with me like a baby boombox.
It's a clip-on.
I love it.
It's a clip-on.
I love it. Thank you so much.
And so I got one.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so the story is Kayla got one for Jonah. And I was like, oh, my God, that's so cute. I can't find my other little one. And that one I've been carrying is so bulky. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get one. And then as soon as I tried it out, like I have it at home. And I'm like, I have it playing while I'm in the shower to see if I can hear it. Like, how does it sound out? I'm like, this is awesome. You can clip it to anything. You can take it to the beach. So sitting at the beach, like you always have your tunes. And like JBL, I think they're always good speakers.
They're fantastic speakers, and it's like my own personal one. It reminds me of the days when I used to walk around with my boombox.
So then I'm like, if I can get Lisa one, I can put mine on one side of us, and you can do yours on the other side. And then like now we have a stereo.
We have stereo rollerblading.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Good job. That was a good present. Thank you.
Yes. So I was like, yeah. So I'm like, it's a little something, but I'm like, I can't. You have to have this.
Yes.
She has to have this in her life.
Yes.
So then I went back another time and got Kayla one.
Oh, awesome. And it was really funny because I kept saying, I'm going to go into Best Buy and buy one. And the last two times I've paid my bill, I usually do it in the store. I forget because I'm running in to pay my bill and I leave and I'm like, man, I forgot my speaker.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are very, very welcome. Merry, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I have a little... I guess it's like an intention for us as we come into we've just passed Christmas, so we can all take a sigh of relief. And then we're coming into the new year, but that also is fraught with problems for people as they reflect. So I have an intention for us.
Okay.
So we no longer look to the upcoming year with expectations of a better time. Age wisens us to the realization that we will never fully mitigate against disaster. There will be sorrow alongside joy. There will be lessons we learn and those we need to repeat again. There will be victories and losses. We get to experience them all, the ones of our choosing and the ones out of our control. So we share that we've learned that change in year isn't a sign that we will be a new person, leaving the old behind, because the past will come with us and stay with us as long as we're willing to carry it. Instead, we hope we learn the lessons and lose the misery within them. We hope to create happy and joyful moments and lasting memories, that we bond together in the struggle and devastation so nothing but strength and resilience arises out of the ashes. This is our wish for us, and it is also our wish for you, our listeners. How you go into the next year.
That's beautiful. Let's post that.
I will.
We'll post that.
I'll make it pretty.
That's good to circle back to because, we always get caught up.
Yes, and someone was I was getting my hair done, and my hairdresser was telling me we listen to nonfiction books a lot. And so she was saying, what have you been listening to? And I said, I haven't been listening to a lot of new nonfiction, which is usually books about business and books about blah, blah. And so, as you can tell, I'm not into them this year.
I know.
And I said, and I kind of came to 2024 with the idea that I'm not broken and I don't need fixing.
Mm.
So then every time I tried to listen to a nonfiction book, I was like, I don't want this person telling me what to do.
I have a little resistance.
And so
Resistance and rebellion.
about in August, when we, for our business, we kind of look into, we're coming into the last quarter, and you have to, you know, it's what everyone seems to do is it's like balls to the wall, for lack of better terminology.
Yeah.
But you're really trying to end out the year. But real estate is a very organic thing. It resists pushing. It resists your will because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And
It's its
coming
own
in
beast.
to the election cycle, I knew people were going to be pausing because of the election. I do a lot of investment real estate, and everybody wanted to wait and let's see what's happening.
Yeah.
So knowing I couldn't push to the end of the year, I kind of came up with that in August.
I love it. I
That,
love it.
you know, that we don't need to do massive changes and transformations. What we constantly need to do is come back more to ourselves.
Yes.
The real self that existed when we were 6 or 16 or 56, the person that we know ourselves to truly be,
Yes.
and stop being manipulated and massaged so much by others.
Yes. I agree. Well, we take in so much influence from the outside world that we don't really listen to us. And it doesn't require huge changes. It's just a 1 degree shift each time, or even just each day. Just a mindset. That's a change.
You are right. We take in so many visual images by the way of marketing. And then we look to social media to be social, but it's really marketing.
Yes. Yes.
So we're taking in and so quickly, because we can scroll quickly. Before, if you wanted to watch something on television, it was like a change in frame every 6 or 8 seconds.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be so chaotic.
Yes.
We didn't all want to have seizures
But
with the rapid eye movement.
But now the change in the frames, it's so many per. I forgot. Somebody had said it not long ago. It's so many. I want to say it's like 30 or like a higher number per second that you're seeing stuff. But you're taking in stuff like the news, everything that's going around you all the time, even billboards, commercials, and signs. You're always seeing things that influence you, and you don't even realize you're
being manipulated.
Yes.
You're being massaged into whatever it is. And I really had that feeling about we have to get better, we have to transform, because 90% of my social media is people telling me, they're fitness people telling me I need to get in shape, or they're life coaches telling me I need to kill it and I need to do more, or there's business coaches. And I'm sure that has to do with my algorithm in my feed.
Right.
But it's really funny because I'm so anti-authority. Half of the time I'm like, shut up.
I know.
Shut up.
Well, I think the really thing is you want to get people back to listening to themselves.
Yes.
Like, does this serve me? Does this harm me? Does this nurture me? Does this grow me? Is this something that I actually want to do? And I think a lot of people come at that perspective when you hear somebody talking about that. It's about being selfish. I don't think it's being selfish at all. It's being self-aware and being able to find out what truly pleases you. So, because when you're happy, guess what you're going to radiate?
Happiness.
Yes. It's hard to put grouchy out into the world when you are happy and when you're in joy. And when you said, like, getting back to our 6-year-old selves, it might be for a deeper conversation for another time, but I believe that our true purpose, we've talked about purpose before. I feel like we all have different
And you know I hate the purpose word.
purposes, and we all have different, I don't even want to say purpose. We have different goals in life, but I still think we all share a similar purpose. And I think that is, we have a duty and an obligation to ourselves to know ourselves.
I'm nodding in agreement over here.
And to be truly, and to go back and truly, Jordan Peterson talks about it, going back and truly being childlike. And to me, I interpret that to being like, to not let the stresses of the world weigh you down, to get yourself to a place that you're excited to wake up in the morning and be like, what's going to happen today? Do you remember being a kid and thinking about what's going to happen today? What adventure am I going to go on today? Or what am I going to explore today? And it's all about, it is to me, I feel like being a child is being able to see the magic in the everyday world.
Well, you don't think you know everything yet. And as adults, we think we know everything.
Yes.
And that's the part that I sort of shed in 2024 was because up to that point, I was the person who wanted the answer. I wanted the answer. I want the right answer. I want I don't want to fiddle around in this.
Right.
But I came back to the person of, we don't know. And also, what might be the right answer for you is not necessarily the right answer for me.
Right.
So you giving me the answer is still not the right answer for me.
Right.
And also, we are still learning so much stuff about nature. We are still learning so much stuff about space. We are still learning so much about human nature, a different human nature that then existed for the last however many thousands of years. Because now you're putting technology at the forefront of human nature.
Yes.
And so I've been looking for magic. I saw a post and I was like, is this even true? And I'm like, I don't care if it's true. I want to believe it. They said that when you take care of plants in your house and you're within 2,000 feet, they sense you.
Wow.
And I was like, do plants sense us? That'd be really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I also thought all those years that I would decide to get plants and then I would be gone for 2 weeks. And maybe that's why my plants died. They were like, where'd she go? She brought us inside and then left us here.
Now I'm all alone.
She kidnapped us and now we're inside. And she's not here loving us. Maybe that's what happened when I was, 18, getting my first apartment because I wanted plants desperately.
Well, but science has proven that plants, we have done tests, plants and water are all impacted by sound, and that's vibration. So, of course, it would be like we're always putting off a vibration. We're always putting off energy. And it's like what I want, what my goal is. I want it for you. I want it for me. I want it for everybody, is to be aware of our vibration and being intentional about what energy we're putting out into this world.
Right. Are we a purrer or are we a growler?
Yes.
I'm a great purrer.
I'm a purrer.
From all those years of having cats.
And I like to make my biscuits. I think magic is where, I think magic happens every day. I think magic happens where you see it, and if you look for it, if you're willing to look, if you're willing to look for it, if you're willing to find the magic and see things from a different perspective. Again, that 1% perspective. Yesterday, we always have our traditions, and we really didn't start opening presents until probably almost noon. I mean, the kids did. We upped the ante this year for the glass pickle. We attached a $100 bill to it, and we hid it. And so the only thing that you could see was the little ornament hanger, the little wire hanger, and it's got a swirly. It's like the hanger's like this long, and we buried it down in one of the plants, and just all you could see was just the silver. And so we had given a couple little notes, but I'm like, all right, once you do this, you can't ever go back. But we also had an 8-foot ladder up against the tree. And so just to kind of throw them off, because Chris was originally going to hang it in the top of the tree. And I'm like, no, nobody is getting up there on a ladder. I don't want to do that in the morning. I don't want them 15 feet up in the air.
The very beginning of the holiday. I don't want to spend the Christmas day in the emergency room.
But just watching it, and my daughter had said, oh, we should do mimosas for breakfast. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So we've added a couple of little different things here and there. But I was saying to Chris last night, you're almost on this Christmas buzz.
I call it the family high.
Yes. And that's why I was like, everybody, it's quiet this morning because everybody's got a Christmas hangover.
Yes.
The streets are empty and it's still kind of sleepy. The businesses are closed down. But last night, I had gotten him this little tabletop fire bowl. We had talked about sometimes because we like to sit on the front porch. And I'm like, oh, we could just put that out there and it can give you a little bit of heat and, it's cute. And anyways,
I love looking at fire.
I do too. So we went outside and we were trying it out. We're sitting in our chairs and we're just sitting there. And I just thought, today was so magical. And I'm so grateful. I'm overwhelmed by how everybody showed up. And I'm like, why can't we do that every day? Why can't it be like that every day? Why does it...
What was his response?
When he's like, you should just be grateful that everybody showed up today. And I was like, I
don't like that answer.
He's like, you're going deeper. He's like, but you're taking away from today, the beauty of today. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just really trying to expand on it, actually. Just thinking about how everybody showed up in a good mood. Everybody showed up with the willingness to lean in, and everybody brought that calm, positive energy. And I just thought, what would it be like if we all did that every day? We just set an intention to be like, you know what? I'm going to add good to it. It's almost like, how everybody's on good behavior, even the kids are, little kids, and, everybody's kind of like, hey, today's a day we're not going to fight. Today's the day we're going to...
We designate it as special, right? And there's some people...
But it doesn't have to take the magic out of Christmas if we actually start doing it.
Right.
And I was like, it's not actually, I'm like, I'm not taking away from today. I'm actually trying to expand on it. And being like, what if we could have that level of awareness every day? And that's what we choose to bring to the table wherever we show up. In traffic... grocery store, work.
Well, so I love those books, Choose Your Own Adventure, from when you're a kid. And they're, if you've never heard of them, they are books for children, I don't know, maybe 8 to 12 in that range, written for that age group. And what you do is you're reading the first page and you're going on an adventure. And it says at the bottom of the page, turn to page 20 if you're going to take the door immediately on your left, or turn to page 18 if you're going to go down the long hallway and meet so-and-so. And there's several different iterations, so you can read the same book 10 times and never have the same exact story, because you're always choosing. If you chose one way at the beginning of the book, then you choose the other way.
Yes.
So what you're almost asking is a choose your perspective.
Yes.
Do I want to A, go into the fiery abyss and fight? Do I B, want to go down the hell and have a good time?
True.
I want to go have a good time.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And sometimes you want to fight.
Yes. Hell yeah.
I was talking to someone recently, and I said, because they were talking about, coming up against a problem, and how would you know? They asked me, how would I know how I would react? And I said, I've been in enough scenarios in which all my adrenaline dumps, everything from something in my childhood to almost get into a car accident.
Yeah.
I said, I know what the adrenaline dump feels like, and I know how my body responds to it. So I think I have enough to know how my adrenaline responds. I have two responses. I either want to run
or I'm going to punch you,
fight, or time slows down so it's so long in the moment that it seems like it's taking a very long time for something to happen.
Yeah.
So depending on which one, I'm either going to run. But 9 times out of 10, most of the adrenaline in our life we can't run from.
Yeah.
Because it's made up adrenaline.
Well, and also ask, yourself. The other day I said to my daughter said something, and she's like, I'm feeling a little bit anxious. And I'm like, well, what are you anxious about? And I'm like, because, so she's just talking about, and I'm like, so do you think, and you actually gave me this tool. And I said, do you actually think that you might be excited? Because anxious and excited show up in our bodies the same way.
It's the bouncing of chemicals off of each other, I think.
Yeah. And I said, it has the same chemical response in our bodies. And I said, so sometimes we don't tell the difference. And that's where, like, when you're pausing, go slower, actually evaluate yourself. Like, one of the questions that you had asked when we were talking about I think we were in Florida, and you just said one of the questions, like helping to unravel sometimes if we feel anxious or sometimes if we feel upset. Like my whole body's not upset. What part of me is upset?
Yes.
And then ask yourself the question, why? Or asking, like, how many times do we get out of bed and we hit the alarm clock and we get out of bed and you're in that fog. I like waking up and laying in bed and thinking about, I kind of just wake up and I kind of lay there for a few minutes and then I just go through my blessings, like just going for my gratitude today. Thank you for a new day, and thank you for my family, and thank you for the sunshine, and like, what do I want to accomplish today? And that helps kind of get me
Oriented. You're almost oriented.
Yes, but I'm setting an intention. I'm setting that energy in my body before my feet hit the floor. I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to have a positive, I'm like immediately, because a lot of times, and we've talked about it on the show before, a lot of times I'll wake up early in the morning, and what drives me out of bed is negative thoughts. And I'm like, I can't sit still in it. I can't go through my gratitudes in it. So
I get that way after a nightmare.
yes.
It takes me a little while to shake off nightmares. I can shake off my dreams pretty quickly. That haze between reality and your dream state. But when I have a nightmare, depending on how bad the nightmare is, and I'm an adult that still has nightmares, they linger a long time. They'll put me in like almost like a funk.
Yeah.
I'm disoriented.
Yes.
Because I woke up with a start, kind of with a lot of adrenaline and all of that stuff. But I feel like when you're talking about those days when you wake up and you're just, I almost wonder if it's like a leftover state from
I also,
something.
like, I wonder if your sleep cycle is interrupted because, our bodies and our brain do so much work while we're asleep, and it sorts through our problems. Sometimes it's that actively letting our conscious brain go, and our subconscious is constantly working. And I wonder if we wake up in one of those, I don't know if it would be a REM state.
When the REM didn't finish
But
its whole
when the
complete
brain
cycle.
activity is so active, like in that unconscious state, when your brain activity is so, I wonder if we're interrupted. And so we have a level of consciousness. Because literally, like, I will have bad thoughts and I'm like they keep coming and I'm like, I can't focus on something good. It's like, oh, well, you can't solve that one, so I'm going to worry about this. I'm going to worry about this. And then I'm going to.
Maybe you should, when that happens next time, try asking it, what are you trying to tell me?
Yes.
What are you trying to, instead of resisting it or trying to push it, like bat it away, maybe just say, what are you trying to tell me?
Right. See, and I have such a resistance of sitting in the ick. Like, not that I run away from it. It's just, maybe it hit me and I'm not as prepared for it. I'm not prepared to deal with it.
Well, I think yoga is really good for that. Because you're moving your body around in ways that it's supposed to be. You're like, how is standing still uncomfortable, or how am I this unsteady on one leg or something, right?
Right.
And then it gives you're trying to move your body so that your brain and your body connect to each other, and your breath. You're just trying to connect those three things so they're all going in the same direction at the same time.
Yeah.
And often when I ask myself questions in those poses, I get an immediate answer. And I think it's because the part of me that wants to, there's the part of my brain that justifies and makes reasons and, sort of has this whole authoritative push. And then there's the part of me that just knows the answer.
Yeah.
I don't like the answer 50% of the time when myself tells myself. The answer, I'm always like, oh, shut up. Stupid.
Don't go that way.
Because the answer is sometimes so simplistic, and it always is, I know the answer. So the one that came up really recently was when I was having my heart problems, and I was very concerned that I was like, oh no, I always joked that I worked hard, so I played hard, right? So you can't have 50 years of that and then ask your body, why are you failing me? In your body not say, why are you failing us?
Right.
And then you're like, man,
why are you doing this to me, man?
I didn't like that answer, but I didn't like that answer. And then it was very clear.
Yeah.
Everything that I needed to change was, okay, the response of working hard and playing hard is you do so much work that you need to up the ante. But what if everything doesn't have to be hard?
Right. Right.
What if you, and I think the early part of my life was difficult and it was hard. But I don't live that same life anymore.
But sometimes being out of it when you were a kid, you didn't know. You know what I mean? You didn't know.
You were living someone else's life. You were living your parents' life
Yes.
and your family's life.
And you're just like a byproduct of, not byproduct, you're, you know, you get caught up in all of that and you don't know any better. We don't have the tools to be like, hey, wait. This
Right,
is
but
not
one day you
mine
wake
to
up-
take on. And,
Yeah.
and you don't know if you've always lived in monsoon season, you know,
Yeah.
you don't know sunshine and sunny days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just don't. You don't know. You
But
don't
then
know
you
what
have to
don't
say
know.
at some point, I'm an adult and I don't live that life.
Right.
So why am I still operating in that same
Right.
capacity? I have to work hard. I have to work hard.
And why am I letting old traumas, you know?
And that's part of what I said. Like, that part of us will always stay with us as long as we're choosing to carry it. We can put stuff down. And if you're afraid, I think what was most impactful for me is I'm not a good letter goer. And I realized at some point that the reason why I was not letting things go, because I would ask myself, who would I be without this? This is my life. Who would I be without that anger? Who would I be without that resentment? Who would I be?
I love that. I think that's a great question to ask yourselves. Who would I be without this? You know, and Catherine says it.
And it makes you question your own identity
Yes.
of like, if I'm not, for example, if I'm not the daughter of a drug addict,
Right.
who am I?
Right.
When you've lived a certain way for a certain time,
Right.
and then you have to say, you know, that was never yours anyways.
Right.
And
you
that-
couldn't control any of those things. And so, like what I was going to say is Catherine says it best, you know, speak from the wound. No, speak from the scar, not the wound. So, we're all wounded, and hurt people. And we don't start thinking like, you can't control those circumstances, but we can control them now about letting, we hold on to so many old self-images. So we are in a lot, 9 times out of 10, it's not our baggage. Some of our old traumas are not our baggage.
Right.
You think about growing up in a crappy environment. I had somebody say to me the other day, well, I didn't grow up that way. I had a very hard, I was always having to do the one that I was the oldest. I always had to do the chores, and, I always got to do the one that was babysitting, and I always did this, and I always had to be the
responsible one.
And I'm always the one who got, in trouble for this, or I got manipulated. I got this. Well, but that's not you now, and nobody's doing that to you now. So why are we still repeating behavior? Why are we're still repeating behavior when that scenario has not hit you in 20 some years?
And part of, I think, is habit. And when we were talking about the Choose Your Own Adventure series, choosing your own perspective is saying, wait a second, is my response the habit of my response to anything similar to this? When I get mad, my response is X. When I get disappointed, my response is X. When I'm happy, my response is X.
Right.
So if you said, okay, a part of me feels disappointed.
Right.
Okay. How do I normally respond to disappointment?
Well, I kind of stomp my feet.
I droop my shoulders really low.
Yes.
So everyone
my
can
head.
see. I'm 7. I think of my my little
I go in my corner and pout.
my cousin Tatiana. She
Oh my goodness.
she has this beautiful little girl, and when she would get disappointed very visually. And so I used to joke that part of me is like, I almost want to make her a little disappointed to see that. And then I have to go, no, I love you. I'm gonna do something. What do you need? Because
know.
she does have that visual,
Yes. Well,
she embodies
so
disappointment.
I don't even know
well.
I'm doing it. I mean, Chris has made me more aware of it. Sometimes he'll tap my bottom lip, or he'll just say, "You better put that bottom lip back in."
Because you're doing the boo-boo lip.
I'm like, damn, I didn't even know it was out.
But so you can ask yourself, how do I want to choose to react to this?
Yes.
Because whenever you read those Zen things or, ancient Chinese secret fortune cookie thing, it's always this riddle of a comment, and you're like, what does that even mean?
I know. What? Just tell me.
And mostly it's, you choose your own suffering. You choose how you're going to react to this.
Right.
And I think a lot of us think it's out of my control. My body is reacting.
Yes.
So I have to go along with it. But if your car just drove off the ridge, you would pull the steering wheel back.
Yes.
My car wants to drive into the river. Well, pull the steering wheel, press the brake.
Yes.
We do have control over those. And I think that's what we're constantly searching for, is control over our emotions, control over our mental state, our control over our mindset, control over our reactions.
It is. We've been talking about it almost every time we're on the radio in one way or another about,
because we haven't mastered it yet.
Well, about being self-aware and self-aware. And what if there is no, so I used to say to the kids, you get to choose heaven and hell every day. What if there is no metaphorically heaven and hell, that, down below the, center of the earth, or wherever the hell is,
flames, burnt clothing.
Yes. I mean, because where is it? Like, there's
Singed
a lot
hair.
of things in like in space. Like, hell wouldn't
A black hole?
Right. Hell wouldn't be like in the center of the earth, because that's just one planet, Who knows? Anyway, not to get religious. The point being, what if that was a metaphor for saying, like, you get to choose heaven and hell every day? What if we really do get to choose heaven and hell every day? We actually really do. It's our mindset. Mm-hmm. And I think everything radiates. We're always talking about write your own story, being aware, past traumas, healing, actively choosing. We literally get to choose. The minute our eyes wake up and we have conscious thought, we get to choose what kind of day we're going to have. And so often we get burdened by our responsibilities, our
And I think that's where expectation comes in.
Yes.
And whose expectation? Our expectation of ourselves. Are those expectations even realistic? I know there's the perfectionist, everything has to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And 50% of that is just you putting something on yourself so that you don't have to do it, because it couldn't possibly be perfect. So it gives you permission to not try because it's not going to be good enough.
Right. But like, even language is so important. I think I used the analogy before. Somebody asked 3 men, what do you do for work? And they're all stonemasons. One guy says, I bust up rocks. One guy says, I'm a bricklayer. The third guy says, I build cathedrals. So you can take a physical labor job. It's not glamorous and it's not pretty, but yet he can see the end vision. So whether you are, at the end of the day, you're a provider for your family, and you're doing the best that you can. You know what I mean? So looking at that as like, it's like the janitor that takes pride in his work. It's being grateful for having the opportunity. Like, we've all made our own choices.
Mm-hmm. And you can do anything well, and you could do anything poorly. So I think of, you can make a pizza terrible, or you can make a pizza delicious.
Yes.
You can clean a house, angry, or you can clean a house in joy.
Yes.
Like happy that you're, because I remember I used to hate making my bed until I told myself I love getting in to nice, clean, organized sheets at the end of the night. Then all of a sudden making the bed had a different purpose than a chore first thing in the morning. Unloading the dishwasher, it's a chore first thing before you do any other chores.
Yes.
The dishwasher has to get unloaded. And just trying to change my perception of it so that I can do it less angrily.
Yes, change your view. Like, I like the bed. I like walking into my room and the bed is made.
Mhm.
I love that clean, you know, and I've decorated it too so that my pillow, when all the pillows and stuff are on it, it's inviting and it's relaxing. And you walk in and you take a deep breath and it's fresh. I like to go to bed that way. It's just like I like to wake up in the morning and there's no dishes in the sink. There's nothing on the counter. I get to start with a clean slate. And because I feel like I know those trigger points for me, I'm immediately going to walk downstairs and feel like I'm obligated to clean. Like I've got something that was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clutter, it's duty. And I'm like, no. So what makes my life better is as I clean as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before, I take all, because I feel like that's the end of the day.
Right.
I'm done. I'm done in the kitchen. I'm done in the kitchen for the day.
But I will tell you the other side of that is half the time I'm like, it's 9:05 and I'm never going to sit down because I'm still cleaning up.
Yes.
So that's the part of me that's like the last thing I do before I go to bed and the first thing I'm going to do in the morning. And it has this whole oppressiveness to it.
Yeah, see, I don't like it feeling like it's hanging over my head.
Yeah.
And if I'm like, I'd rather get it out of the way. Like, I always like clean slates, clean slate, clean slate.
When we went to Florida the 2 times, right? I'm putting it like I'll put my something in the sink and then I rinse it off and use it again. Nope. Robyn has washed that. And I'm like, oh, wow, she really is a cleaner as you goer.
Not on my watch. Not on my watch.
And I'm like, and then I started feeling like, oh, no, like I'm leaving dirty too long because I'm like...
Oh, you're not using that? Let me put that away.
And I'm like, oh, I was going to reuse that one.
I can be annoying that way, for sure.
It's not annoying, but it made me realize that I'm not, as much as I think I clean as I go, I don't.
Mm.
And there's, especially when I'm cooking, and I didn't cook in Florida, so I didn't have that, like, so there was less of that, but I was just noticing, like, tea in the morning and, all that stuff. And, we did like have a few snacks, but everything's like done, like
yes,
gone. And it's funny because there is, especially when I'm cooking a lot of food,
yeah,
and I make the timing of everything coming together at the same time, so everything's hot and perfect, and takes enough mental bandwidth that if I clean in the middle of that, something's being burnt, something's not coming timed right.
So all you have to do is just add one at a time.
So
it clean, like make a goal or make like play a game with yourself and just say, okay, I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to clean one dish after, like, and put it away. Or so you don't just like, how do I do this all at the same time? I'm going to clean
distracted.
Everything. Yeah, I want to too.
I start cleaning the stuff and then I'm like, oh, that's burning.
Yes, that's true.
And part of it is my expectation. Like when we have something, we're not eating sandwiches. We're not eating.
Yeah.
If we've made meat, there's some kind of sauce with it. My meals are more elaborate than restaurant meals.
Yes.
One of the things, my spouse really loves Capital Grille, and I'm like, yeah, but it's good. But it's not the best restaurant I've ever been in. Yes, they have good steaks.
Right.
But I like when you go to a restaurant and they've marinated something in truffle butter and then there's something echoed in the side. This is like, we've got 10 sides, choose one. Here's your steak.
Right.
It's a hunk of meat on a plate. To me, that's so rudimentary as far as cooking is concerned.
Yes.
And
I think the extra touch, so my daughter loves bruschetta. So I got French bread. So last night we did steak and shrimp, and I made stuffed mushrooms the other day, and I had a little bit of that stuffing left over. And Chris is like, oh, I think that would actually go good with steak. So I heated some of that up, and I'm like, you can't do that in the microwave because I want the tops to get a little bit crispy. I wanted to kind of get that little bit of crunch on the top of it. But so I ended up making bruschetta. So I did the bruschetta. I did mozzarella, and then at the last minute I was like, oh, you know what, if you just take a little bit of the I like the shaved Parmesan, the big chunks of it, so on top of that I just sprinkled a little bit of the Parmesan on top of that to kind of crisp it, and it gives you that little bit of tang.
And then do a little balsamic glaze
Yes.
on top.
And so I just put it all out
Yeah.
on a plate. Like, those are the things that you don't really get in a restaurant. That one extra little step that makes it. And Chris is like, well, you're making way too much prosciutto. Nobody's going to eat that. And I'm like, well,
We'll see.
they're gone.
They're gone because they're delicious.
They like it.
Yeah. And I think part of that also comes from the fact that we don't want to be wasting calories. I don't want to be eating mediocre food
Right.
and getting fat. I'll get fat on good food.
I'm not going to waste my calories on bad food.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm pretty much, I'm done at that
And
point,
just for
portion
the
of my
record,
life.
chips is not considered a bad food in my head.
No, delicious chips are delicious.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that
Right.
I made prime rib, and prime rib is a stressful meal to me. I make it once a year. 50% of the time, it's a 50-50 on the meat itself, how fatty is or
Yeah.
anything else. And it's not my favorite meal to eat. So I'm not loving it and looking forward to it, you know. And I think to myself, like I told myself, just pretend you really want to eat this meal.
Yes.
So I could get myself into, because making food, I don't make food I don't like.
Right.
364 days
so
a
if
year.
I'm if I'm out of ideas, like for dinner, like if I'm not craving anything, then I'm out of an idea for dinner, and I'm like,
Yeah, what am I in the mood for?
I like to pick other people. But part of the reason I clean as I go,
We were roller skating, I don't know, earlier in the week, and I think for 2 hours we roller skated for an hour and 36 minutes, and that whole time we talked about food.
yes, we had some good recipes. Now I can't remember some of them, but it definitely, the acorn squash, I do want to try. I think taking the acorn squash, cooking it, adding a little bit of butter, the brown sugar, and a little bit of ricotta cheese in there. And I think that would be really good. I still want to try that.
Because I did spaghetti squash, but I didn't add butter, and I think adding butter will smooth out the
It kind
the
of just
ricotta a little bit.
helps give it a creaminess too.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, we had some really good ideas on those. But my thing, going back to the whole cooking while you're cleaning and things, I think one of the reasons I do it is I don't like the feeling of being overwhelmed. I don't function well overwhelmed.
And to me, cooking and cleaning at the same time is overwhelming.
Oh, see, I don't. I feel like, oh my God, I feel like a victory.
Yeah.
I love the satisfaction. And now, I mean, Chris is really good about cleaning the dishes after dinner. So he actually has no idea if I just left everything to the end. He probably wouldn't be doing the dishes anymore. But I do try to make it so
It's easy for him.
it's easy. It's whatever it's our plates. It's our plates in like the pan or whatever it's going to be.
So at Thanksgiving, normally by 9 o'clock, I still have cleanup to do. Not with Chris present.
Right.
You guys were like, it's like
Yes.
a whirlwind of cleaning. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I had 2 people drying. He was
I'm like,
cleaning.
I know
I
this.
was like, wow. Because that night, I'm like, wow, there's nothing to clean up. Normally after a party, it's
Yeah.
cleaning up.
Yes. It's
Not at all.
hours of, yeah.
Not at all.
And it's true. Like if everybody just pitches in,
Yeah.
it's done. It's done in a matter. But it's one of those things about I've become aware of me. The reason I do it is, well, I also feel like I'm still a kid in the ways. Like I want to get all my chores done so I can go be free. That's how I like to. That's I. If I stop and think about some of the things, the reasons why I do it when I do it, it's because I'm still that kid. Like, oh, if I just finish my homework now, I can go play. So it kind of changes the subject. But yesterday we were talking about magic and choosing to see where you see it. So I had asked Chris days prior, can you get the steaks for Christmas? And he's like, well, I don't want to go to the grocery store today. I want to do this today. I'll pick it up today. Then it was Christmas Eve, and I'm like, so I went the day before Christmas Eve, and they don't have any of the prime steaks. There's like one in there. And I'm like, oh. Okay. I asked the butcher, I'm like, hey, are you guys going to get any prime ribeyes in before tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, we should be getting some in like early. So come early if you're going to come. But I think most people don't do steaks for Christmas. Anyway, we go to the store Christmas morning. It's like 8:30, 9. There's none out. And I said, let's just ask
My
the
day's
butcher.
already ruined if I have to go to the store on Christmas.
I know. Well, Chris was going to go, and I'm like, hey, do you want me to go with you? Okay. He's like, yeah, you can ride along. So we get there, and he asks the butcher, he's like, hey, do you guys have any prime ribeyes? And he's like, I've got some I can cut back there for you. How many do you want? And he's like, I want 4. Because Kayla's boyfriend's not going to eat dinner with us. And so the guy comes out. I go and do my other stuff while he's waiting. He's like, it's going to be about 5 minutes or so. Like we're waiting. Next thing you know, I come back around. Chris is texting me. He's like, hey, do you want to get a ham? I'm like, what? We're doing steaks. When are we going to do ham? He's like, well, for tonight, we could do like ham biscuits, or we can have it. And I'm like, all right, well, do you want me to get some like off the bone deli ham? Like, just so, thinking enough to do. It's like, gets a 6 pound, almost a 7 pound ham. Like, I didn't know you liked ham so much. He's like, oh yeah, I love ham. Like, what?
I think men love ham. I think men love meat. Is what I think.
For me personally, I would never serve ham as a meal, a dinner. It's always for a biscuit or a sandwich. Like, I don't.
I used to do it around, I think it was Easter. I did it.
People do Easter, ham or lamb.
And I have to say, I stopped doing it because I'm like, I don't like it. I try to make myself like it each time, and I really don't.
I like it thin, like I like prosciutto. I like thin sliced, and I also like the country ham, which is a salt cured. So it's a little bit, and the texture of it is a little bit different. It's probably the only way. Anyway, so he's like, so the butcher comes back. I've got this big ass ham. I'm carting around now with a bottle of Prosecco because we're getting the mimosas. So I'm like, God, don't drop the glass bottle. What am I doing with this big ham? I got it like a football under my arm, like walking through Market Basket.
You've got a team of people following you like you're the Pied Piper, like 6 guys behind you. You making ham?
You making some ham? So we meet up again. We're ready to check out, and he's like, the butcher gave me 5, and he's like, so it must meant to be, and we knew that we weren't going to have 5 for dinner. Chris is like, well, it must be meant to be. So yesterday afternoon, after Logan had finished with his family, their Christmas, he comes over and he's bringing gifts, and he's like, you guys need to open yours kind of sooner rather than later. Logan got us, he comes in with this big shopping bag. He comes in with literally 2 huge tomahawk steaks.
Oh my goodness.
And puts them in, and there's a rub seasoning that he had gotten from when he and his dad were in Texas. There's a steakhouse that they always go to. So it was just well thought out, and we all exchange gifts. Everybody's smiling and laughing. He leaves. So he's getting ready to leave, and we got Nintendo Switch. We got like a sports game to play because we've been playing the Mario Golf, and the boys are loving that because they can't golf. And it is kind of fun. It is fun to play. But so the boys were all in there playing that, and next thing you know, Noah shows up. One of Jonah's friends, he shows up, and he's hanging out. He's done with his Christmas, and we're getting ready to prep for dinner, and Logan's sad that he's got to go. He's going to go with his family, but everybody's having such a good time, and they're friends too. So he's leaving, and they're joking about the steak, and Logan loves steak, so he's gonna miss out on it. And he's like, and I'm like, Noah, I said, are you hungry? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, we're going to have steak. Do you want to stay for dinner? And he's like, yeah, I'm down if there's enough. And we both looked at each other, and I was like, there's our 5. And just thinking about just watching, and last year, looking back on my memories, the kids' friends just show up. They just drop in, and like, to me, that's a miracle. That's a blessing. Like, that's magic. And there was enough food. I did asparagus, and like everybody's just jovial, and we have enough food, like, to serve somebody else, and like it just worked out perfectly. And instead of somebody, the mindset, because the mindset could have been is like, no, I'm not paying $20. I asked for 4 steaks. He could have easily just put it back in the meat thing, but Chris's mindset was like, there must be a reason. And he just said, Noah is the reason.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be Logan.
Yeah.
And it ended up being Noah. And so last night when we're sitting out with our little fire pit, going over just how grateful and just feeling just the magic of the day and just being a blessing of like, we have, not only is it our kids, but their friends love being at our home. And then showing up and being able to bless somebody else. Like, to me, that's magic. And I'm like, what? That's why I was expanding. Like, why can't we do that every day?
I do think you do. Your house is you housed me and my nephews in the, like, you know
I
what I
can't
mean?
wait for summer again.
Your house is that way. It's always this open door policy. It's as many, I basically was like, hey, can we have 4th of July at your house, and invited a bunch of people. You do have that, the more the merrier. It's a very inviting home. It's a very beautiful home, but it also is very open.
Yes.
That openness is an invitation. It does feel that way. It feels like, come on, like, let's go have a good time.
Yeah, but yours is like that too.
I hope it is.
It is. Yes, it's always that way. I feel at home, right? I mean, I think even like one of the first times, we went over at your house, Chris just like helps himself to the fridge. And like, I've never, like, I feel honored when somebody feels comfortable enough to come into my house. Because a lot of people will be like, why are they going to my fridge? I didn't ask them to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I actually feel honored. That they feel comfortable enough to be like, because I've said, make yourself at home.
Yes.
And I don't say it unless I mean it.
And if I'm not on top of it and you're thirsty, please get yourself a drink.
Yes.
I have your Dr. Pepper in there. I have, I've
It was-
made sure, I know what people like, and I try to make sure that that's there
Yes.
at my house so that you can have exactly what you want.
Yes.
And yeah, so.
But that's
I
all a
feel that way.
mindset of helping you to cultivate the life that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And letting go of all of those.
And I love visitors in my house.
Yes.
So it feels very good to hear that you feel welcome, because I would want you to come over my house anytime unannounced.
Yes.
It's always fine. You're always welcome
Yes.
at my house. I would always be thrilled that you showed up.
Yes.
I feel that way about my in-laws, Val and Robyn, the kids. I just like anytime they want. They're just, my house is your house.
Well,
type thing.
what's funny is we're on the other side. If we're on the other side of the house, you can never hear the basement. You can never hear the basement door. And really, if there's any like music or stuff, you really can't hear somebody come up the steps. I can't tell you how many times I've walked through the office into the kitchen, and there's like, grown 22-year-old men standing in my kitchen, and I'm like, hey, hi. And I just passed them on the way to they're going into the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, hey.
So-and-so's over.
So I just come back after getting my water, and I'm like, hey, we have company. Chris is like, cool, who is it? And I'm like, I'm not sure.
Stay tuned to more of Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We're going to go to the top of the hour, but then we will return to go over this last show of 2024.
2024.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. Starbucks employees are back on the job after a 5-day strike that their union says saw 5,000 baristas walk off the job. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze says the Amazon strike is on what its organizers called a pause.
The Teamsters Union tells us that delivery workers picketed at more than 200 Amazon locations nationwide, seeking better pay and better working conditions. Amazon insists that the strike didn't have any impact on operations and delivery of holiday packages.
Holiday spending was up by 4% this year compared to last, according to MasterCard's Spending Pulse. That's from the period running November 1st through Christmas Eve. President Biden departing Washington today for St. Croix, a family vacation as he enters his final weeks in office. And as Democrats try to chart the way forward, Marianne Williamson, who sought the party's nomination for president in the last 3 elections, says she is running for chair of the Democratic National Committee. This is ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagal is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on WSMN 1590 AM and WSMN 95.3 FM, Nashua. The Boston Bruins are back on the ice tomorrow when they play in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. The Bruins have won back-to-back games, while the Blue Jackets are winners of 2 of their last 3.